is the engineering summary update for the sprint ending on March 2nd, 2021. So we plan to work on three major areas this sprint: plot and line registry, invoice and payment, and customer journey, as well as some miscellaneous tasks that we had to do. For plot and land registry, we built a shapefile editor where you can actually draw your plots on the map and save it as a plot. It's a very neat feature, and it will help us greatly in the future when we would want to add functionality to create point of interest. What we didn't get to work on is adding one more neighborhood to our plot database because we are still not able to get AutoCAD file. For invoice and payment, we greatly improved the general usability of the application. We also have monthly invoice creation now, and we've built an accounting dashboard. We additionally worked on currency standardization using the browser internationalization library. And so based on your community setting, the application will now format the currency based on that currency setting for the locale. We also added the ability for customers to access their own receipt, and we now do show transaction and invoice details on the payment tile as an admin. What we didn't get to work on is really the balance per plot. We do have designs though. We realized that in order to build this feature, it would require a lot more planning and architecting and designing than we allocated time for. So we decided to start with design. So we have design, and this sprint, we will actually work on the implementation. We didn't get to work on invoice and payment notification, and neither on transaction and invoice adjustments because we really just ran out of time, and some other features took longer than expected. For customer journey, we were supposed to work on a sub-status time distribution report graphs, but we ran out of time and could not work on this. I also feel this graph was a premature optimization. In terms of miscellaneous development, we renamed the demo site that we've built for Fimosa to demo. We've increased code coverage to 70%. And what we didn't plan to work on, but still worked on, update the user merge routine. We had added tables since we had built the merge routine, and we just needed to add those tables in order to maintain relational integrity. We've also optimized the user import. It was breaking at about 200 users. What we didn't get to work on is reduce the vulnerability to no more than 4 vulnerability. Our vulnerability have increased, and this story will be a priority this coming sprint. For next sprint, for plot and land registry, we are planning on giving the ability for admin to add their own point of interest. And we also want to show construction activity on the map. For the customer journey, we have to make a couple of customer journey step adjustments, as well as the ability to update the start date for some of the customer's journey step data so that we can set up our current customers or the customers that are currently in the construction pipeline so that we can set the data correctly. Development for invoice and payments, we definitely are going to work on the balance per plot payment plan. We're also going to work on transaction and invoice adjustment and invoice and payment notification. Those last two are actually leftovers from this sprint, and it is being carried over to the following sprint. However, we will also be working on the ability to record past payments, as it is a feature requested by Enqueshi. And for the engineering corner, so we want to reduce the number of vulnerability to no more than 4 and increase the code coverage to 73%. We also need to build a dev environment for DAST security scans. We have a few data cleanup to do. One of them is a task data cleanup. We have over 1,000 tasks that are actually open that do not need to be open, so we need to close them. And we also need to import user and plot data from the Enqueshi database for the leasing product. This sprint, we had 21 merge requests. Usually our number hovers around 22. In fact, our target is 22. So we are a little bit below, but this is not a problem. This sprint, we had 41 issues in the sprint, but only completed 29, and we had 12 left open. In terms of code coverage, our code coverage is now 71%. Rails coverage is above 90% for the first time, and our code coverage for React is above 52%. In terms of highlights, well, the code coverage, I've talked about that. The plot shape editing is a really, really neat feature, and it will really help us and will be the building block to future map management needs. In terms of Project Panther, the accounting dashboard took much longer than expected. It's working. There's probably a few UI fixes that we need to do, but overall it is really nice. However, I did put too many stories in the sprint, which led to confusion in terms of what we needed to work on as priorities. So for goal versus actual, in terms of code coverage, well, we are actually above our goal. Our goal was 69.7, we had 71%. The merge request, I talked about it. We are basically one merge request below the goal, so we are within tolerance. The problem is really the vulnerabilities. The vulnerabilities are actually increasing. We are at now 28 vulnerabilities, while we should actually be at 4. So this sprint, we will bring our current vulnerabilities to down to more manageable numbers.